Hey folks, welcome back to the channel where it's all about racing. Today we're going to look at a Spark 143 scale Infinity Red Bull Racing RB10, the number 3 car of Daniel Riccardo at the Australia GP in 2014. Now, as I mentioned, this car is a 143 scale. It's mounted on this cream wooden base, has an acrylic jewel cover, a slipcase, as is typical of most of the Spark cars. Infinity Red Bull Racing on the back, and the usual licensing information on the bottom. Note one thing here, it's really important that I'm going to point this out, is it does not indicate what size this model is. Sometimes they'll have 143 scale on there, or, whatever other scale it might be. For example, I have a couple Sparks that are 132 scale. This is not one of those. However, it does not note that it is 143 scale, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Now, the RB10 was another of Adrian Newey's designs for the 2014 Formula One season. It was designed to use the brand new Renault 1.6 liter V6 turbocharged engine, which could achieve a horsepower of about 760. The transmission was a Red Bull Technology 8-speed, longitudinally mounted, semi-automatic. And the drivers for 2014, as many of you know, were defending champion Sebastian Vettel and newly promoted Daniel Ricciardo as a result of Mark Webber's retirement. And as many of you know, Sebastian Vettel named all of his cars. He named this one Susie. Now, the car's development was limited by problems with the new Renault engine, of which had issues preventing individual components from working together. After resolving these issues, there were software problems and temperatures within the car getting so high that parts would burn. Yes, you didn't miss to hear that. Parts would burn. This all affected critical test time, with Red Bull having fewer laps than even Lotus. Team principal Christian Horner admitted that the team had no idea when problems would be resolved. Obviously, the drivers made the best of things, and over the course of the season, they achieved 3 wins and 12 podiums. A better car, they probably could have achieved much more. As a final note, as of September 2021, this RB10 was on display at the Motor Museum of Western Australia. Now, I always like talking about the good of a model first and the bad, and there's quite a few things I was concerned about with this one here. First off, the good. The finish is like a deep blue, almost purple sparkle flake, which is kind of hard to see. I literally had to put on my jeweler's magnifiers to get the full gist of it. But the finish is really nicely done. The decaling work, excellent. And details, for the most part, as you expect from Spark, are just absolutely first class. Now to the bad. The seller who sold me this car sold me that it was brand new. It wasn't. I strongly suspect that he had taken it off the base, had it on display, and when he tried to put the base on and resell it, he did like I have done with a couple models that I've done before, and we lost a mirror. It's missing the left-hand side mirror over here. You can see the right-hand side, the left one is right here. There are no aerials or pitot tube on the front of the car. And even one of these connecting pieces for the individual wing parts you can see on the right wing is not on the left wing. Now, that's a part that's not easily broken, so that might even be a manufacturer's defect. I don't know, or just something that was omitted. But anyhow, it was disturbing. Now, the car looks absolutely great as far as the shape and everything else, as I had mentioned. The interior of the cabin with the steering wheel and Daniel Ricciardo's helmet and his fire suit are really, really, really good. The back of the car looks great. Really nice job that they have done with that. Infinity you can see under the wing. I did note that one of the wheels on the rear, this one here, was very, very loose. I also did tighten the screws down. That helped a little bit. I think it put pressure on it, because the 2 screws, as I had mentioned, were very, very loose when I had opened the car up. Now, the major issue with it. Now, this has to do with casting, and I have reached out to several guys on YouTube, reviewers that have much more experience with F1 than I do, about the sizes of the cars in 2014. Now, I know in 2014, a lot of the cars were criticized for having the really ugly front wings, red being one of them, but that wasn't my issue with this. It was the issue with the size of the car. Let me show. And here's a 2021 Mercedes model, and you can see how much substantially longer that one is, even than the Mercedes from 2014. And again, how short the Red Bull seems. And if you take a look at width, and I know the cars get bigger and bigger and bigger over the years, it just seems that these two, I don't know, it just seems that the Red Bull is just not that large. Now, the Red Bull also has a substantially large floor compared to that of the Mercedes, which, you know, the Mercedes also, as far as the air intakes on the side pods, are much wider and longer than that of the Mercedes, and maybe that accounts for it, and a lot of it's the nose. I don't know. It just it just seems like the suspension work is substantially wider on the Red Bull than that of the Mercedes. I don't know. I just don't get it. It just looks slightly off to me. Anyhow, your thoughts. Thanks for watching. See you next time.